Go.
Hello, my name is Margaret Philbrick, and in this video I will be demonstrating different types of bandages we apply on the horse with the help of socks and my assistant Alexa Bick. Our first bandage is the polo wrap. This is a wrap used for exercise to help protect the leg for a horse who might strike their cannon bones or forges over and hits the back of the tendons. This is a wrap made of a material called polar fleece, which is stretchy and conforms well to the leg. So to apply your polo bandage, first you would brush off the leg, and then you start on the inside of the cannon bone. And you always want to wrap inside to outside, head to tail. So when doing your polo bandage, you want to do about 50% the stretch that it offers. And you want to do nice, even wraps all the way down the leg. Now, depending on the length of your polo bandage, can tell you how your wraps should be spaced. Because a horse with longer cannon bones with a shorter bandage will need larger wraps than a horse with shorter cannon bones and a longer bandage. So once you get down here, you will cup the ergot and go down and then cross over in front, attempting to make an inverted V and going straight across to cover this last lap you've made. And then you will wrap your way back up, continuing with your even pressure and wrap size, all the way to the top of the leg. And then you want to make sure that your bandage finishes off with the Velcro ending towards the outside. And if you don't like the way your bandage ends, you can always redo it. But another thing you can do to help ensure that your bandage stays on is you can apply masking tape around the top. So that way, if you have a horse who is known for striking their cannon bones, you can ensure that your bandage will stay by applying the masking tape. And then to remove your polo wrap, you will unvelcro it and simply unwrap it as quickly as you can. And then you will rewrap it later once you are done with the horse. The next bandage I will be showing is a standing bandage. This is done with a pillow, quilt, or cotton. It's the same name for the same material. They just go by different names because we've gone through different phases of the materials we use, but it's still the same thing. Your next thing you will need is a track bandage. This is a track bandage that we normally use here at William Woods. You can also use a knit track bandage or a flannel, but this is more standard. And then you will also need masking tape to finish off your bandage. So we put on standing wraps to help with swelling and inflammation and to protect injuries if your horse has one. You could also put it on a horse who stocks up, as long as you have remembered to walk the horse and get them unstocked up first before you apply the bandage. So to start your stack wrap, you'll start just like with your polo, inside of the leg, and just like with the polo, head to tail, inside to outside. So you will start your bandage off pretty tight, making sure to tuck as you go to help ensure that your bandage stays wrinkle-free. Because if you set up a good base, then everything else tends to go really well. Then your next thing is you apply your track wrap, going in the same direction as your bandage. And I like to apply it at the top of my bandage and then work my way down. So one thing you have to know is your horse's cannon bone length, because that will dictate the size of the wraps you use, or the size of the layers you use while wrapping the track wrap. Because ideally, you don't want to use too many layers to do the wrap, but you want them to be nicely and evenly spaced. Now once you get down to the bottom, you want to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and then start your wave back up. Normally, your bandage could be wrapped better than this, but we can make it work. So you want to keep your laps nice and even. You'd like to end up at the top. Velcro your bandage, and then find the end of your masking tape. You will fold a tab to make it easier to pull off, and wrapping it the same direction as your bandage, you will gently lay the masking tape across the Velcro, doing 4 spirals, and then cutting it off and folding another tab. You would do this if you have a horse who likes to pick up their bandages, or just to add extra stability and protection to keep the bandage on. And that is how you do a standing bandage. Bandage I will be demonstrating is the injury bandage. For this bandage, you will need roll gauze, a non-stick gauze pad, or a brand name Tefla pad, a standing bandage, a track wrap, and elasticon. Now, you do not always need elasticon for an injury bandage. It depends on the location of the wound and how fussy your horse might be with the bandage and how that could affect the wound you have. So, to start your injury bandage, we're going to make up a scenario. So we're going to say this horse has a wound right here on the front of his canthil. So normally I would apply ointment to the gauze pad, then apply that to the leg. And next, you want to apply your roll gauze. And for this, you want to apply it the same as you would your polo wrap or your bandage. And you want to do a layer over the middle, top, and bottom to ensure that the Tefla pad stays in place and to prevent the bandage from removing it and causing an injury to the horse. When you have applied an adequate amount of roll gauze, you will cut it. And begin your standing wrap that would go over the injury bandage.
And go.
Okay. So now that we have finished covering our wound, we will wrap it with a pillow wrap. This is a cotton sheet that is covered in fabric that you apply over an injury or a swollen limb to help keep it from getting dirty or to help take down swelling. And in this situation, it would be to help prevent the injury from getting dirty or swelling up if there is swelling associated with this injury. So to start your wrap, you'll start on the inside, just like with the polo bandage, making sure to tuck and pull as you wrap around. This ensures that you are wrapping correctly and that there are no wrinkles under your wrap. Now this wrap, or this pillow, is very thin compared to what we would normally use, but it is the correct length for this horse, for this type of bandage. Now, to begin the actual wrapping piece that keeps the bandage stationary, you will use a track wrap. You will start at the top, again, like with your polo, and you will make small, even laps on the way down, especially because of how short this horse's cannon bones are. And this is really a trial and error type of situation because you need to know your horse's legs while you're wrapping. And that ensures that you're getting the right tension, the right size laps, because you want all your laps to be even and wrinkle-free, which can be hard to accomplish if you don't know your horse's leg and you end up using too much or too little to wrap it. Now you want to leave 1.5 inches to 1 inch of space above and below your bandage. This is in case you have to put on a stack wrap and create an anchor phase, but also so you can check the tightness of your bandage and you can actually see the bandage. Now this bandage is ending where it should, up at the top of the horse's leg. Okay, and so your last step to this injury bandage would be to apply a layer of elasticon at the top of the bandage. To do this, you would apply it in the same direction your bandage is going, so outside to inside, and making sure that the elasticon goes above the bandage and onto the bandage. The point of doing this is to apply it as to prevent a horse from getting dirt and debris in their bandage, thus possibly injuring or reopening or infecting the wound they have underneath. The next bandage I will be demonstrating is a hoof bandage. This is done when a horse has lost a shoe, has an abscess, has a sole bruise, or has a puncture in the hoof. This is done to help protect and aid in healing, especially in situations such as an abscess and a puncture. And when a horse has a diaper or a foot bandage on because of a lost shoe, it is helped to protect the hoof that is still there. So your materials you will need are vet wrap, a diaper, a pre-made duct tape grid. You will make this by laying pieces of duct tape horizontally and vertically. Always do a layer each direction. And then finally, you will need spare pieces of duct tape to cover possible holes that will be at the top of your duct tape, because it's not always foolproof. So to start your hoof bandage, if your horse has an abscess, sole bruise, or a puncture wound in the hoof, you would soak the hoof in a betadine, Epsom salt, and water solution, and then allow the foot to dry, and then you would have a non-stick gauze pad with Ixamol applied, and you would put that on wherever the abscess, sole bruise, or wound might be. In this situation, this horse has not lost a shoe, and he does not have an injury to his foot. So what I'll be doing is just applying a diaper, vet wrap, and duct tape. To do this, you will lift the horse's foot up and make sure to properly clean out their foot. Next, you will apply your diaper. And then you will apply your vet wrap. That's Now, in some situations, you could use 2 diapers, such as when a horse has heavy pads on and loses a shoe. That will help to prevent the horse from feeling like they're walking on heels and flats. It's always best just to use your whole roll of vet wrap, because half a roll or 3/4 of a roll isn't going to get you very far. Next, you will apply your grid smack in the middle of the hoof, pressing it down in the front, on the sides, and lastly in the back. Then you will allow the horse to set down their foot so you can see any holes you might have missed. And you can cover them with your duct tape. Don't want your duct tape to go up and over your vet wrap, as duct tape can irritate a horse's hair and can cause them to lose hair or to in general be itchy there. And that is how you do a hoof bandage. The next and final bandage I will be demonstrating is the stack wrap. A stack wrap is done if you have an injury anywhere on the forearm or knee of the horse. So your stack wrap involves 2 standing bandages, and it is very important that you do your first standing bandage a little longer than what you would normally do. So you would rather have your standing bandage going down below the fetlock instead of ending just above it, in order to give an anchor phase to keep the top part of the bandage from sliding down. So the first part of this will be done with a pillow wrap that is a little longer than what you're used to using. Now, this pillow wrap is an appropriate length and should create a good shelf for our stack wrap. So just like with all the wraps before, we will wrap outside to inside, head to tail. And just like with all the wraps before, you will make sure to adequately wrap with good tension, preventing wrinkles from occurring in order to prevent you from porting your horse. You will once again wrap in the same direction as your base wrap with your trap wrap around the leg, creating even layers from the top all the way down. Making sure to watch for any wrinkles that might appear. And just like with your standing wrap, you want to leave 1 inch to 1.5 inches of space of the pillow below your bandage. This creates the anchor phase of the stack wrap, so you should have a nice shelf to put your top phase on. So your next phase will wrap in the same direction as usual, but you will not expect it to stay as straight as it normally would. Now you really want to make sure that you're using the shelf you created. make sure that your top wrap is aligned with your shelf. So when you put your bandage on, you will have a nice even line. Make sure to do nice, even wraps once again, all the way down the leg. And you should really try to blend your bandages. And you should always cover your Velcro whenever you're using an extra long track wrap, so you can make sure that the horse does not take off their anchor face bandage. So once you reach the halfway point of the bandage, you will start wrapping back up. Again, continuing your even laps. All the way up. Once again, you want to leave an inch to an inch and a half to a half inch of space at the top of your bandage. And once you're done applying it, you will take your masking tape, apply it lightly in a spiral, doing 4 loops, in order to secure the bandage, because this bandage does not have any Velcro. And then to finish off your stack wrap, so lastly with our standing bandage, we will finish it off with elasticon at the top and bottom. This helps to prevent foreign materials from getting in. It also helps prevent the horse from chewing on their bandage and moving it. How you do a standing or a stack wrap.